They say family shows up when it matters most. I used to believe that until the day I lay in a hospital bed, barely able to sit upright after emergency surgery. And my sister-in-law laughed in my face when I asked for help. My twins need new phones, she said, tapping on her smartwatch, like my medical bills were a bad punchline. I remember the beige coat she wore, the citrus perfume trailing behind her as she strutted out of the room, leaving me surrounded by sterile walls and silence. That moment broke something in me, or maybe it rebuilt something I'd buried for too long. My name is Elra Hawthorne. I'm 40 years old. I worked my way through engineering school, bought and restored a vintage craftsman condo in Seattle, and for 5 years I let my brother and his wife live in that home. Re-entry, I made excuses for their mess, for their entitlement, for the way they acted, like generosity was a favour owed to them. But when I needed them, truly needed them, they abandoned me, and in that abandonment they made a mistake. They assumed the quiet one doesn't fight back. They thought kindness meant weakness. They believed they'd won. What they didn't know was this: I don't burn bridges. I wait for the perfect moment to cut the rope. And this time, I wasn't going to scream. I was going to silence them with strategy, with facts, and with the law. This is how I reclaimed everything they tried to steal from me. 5 years ago, when my brother Talin's startup went belly up and Mara lost her marketing job, they showed up on my doorstep with 2 toddlers, a moving truck, and eyes full of silent expectation. "We just need 6 months, Talin said, holding one of the twins, while Mara pretended to cry behind designer sunglasses. At the time, I had just closed on a 2-bedroom condo in North Seattle. It wasn't huge, but it was mine. I'd spent years saving, sacrificing vacations, dates, and sleep to make that dream real. Still, when Talin asked, I didn't hesitate. Of course, I said, whatever you need. And I meant it. The first few weeks were easy enough. The kids were loud but sweet. Mara cooked once or twice, and Talin started picking up freelance gigs. But weeks turned into months, and suddenly my guest room was now the kids' room. My home office had become a makeshift nursery, and I found myself tiptoeing around my own house like a guest. I didn't complain. Not when Mara accidentally donated my coffee table during one of her decluttering phases. Not when Talin's late-night video calls kept me up even though I had work the next morning. Not even when they changed my Wi-Fi password for security reasons and forgot to tell me. Every time I thought about saying something, Marlo would throw in a passive-aggressive jab. "We're just so lucky you're still single. It's the only reason we could make this work. Or this place was so cold before we moved in. We've really made it feel like home. Like they were doing me a favour." And maybe in my silence they thought I agreed, but I wasn't blind. I watched as their lives started improving. New clothes, upgraded phones, weekend trips. Mara even launched a lifestyle blog called Modern Nesting and filmed tours of her home with my furniture in the background. I kept telling myself it was temporary, that any day now they'd find a place and leave. I clung to the timeline Talin had promised. Just 6 months. 6 months became a year. Then 2, by the time year 4 rolled around. The kids were calling the guest room theirs, and Mara had stopped thanking me entirely. Gratitude had turned into entitlement. Like my kindness was just background noise. And the worst part, I let it happen. I told myself I was being generous, that family sticks together. But deep down, I was scared. Scared of confrontation, of making things messy, of being called cold-hearted. So I kept my mouth shut. I worked late, avoided dinners, spent weekends at cafes just to breathe. I was the peaceful sister, the easy one, the doormat, with a smile until my body gave out. The stress, the long hours, the quiet resentment, it all caught up to me in the form of a ruptured intestine and a pile of hospital bills. And for the first time in my adult life, I had to ask for help. And when I did, I learned exactly where I stood. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and artificial lemon. Tubes ran from my arms to machines I couldn't name, and every breath felt like I was being punished for asking too much from a body I'd spent years ignoring. Mara stood at the foot of my bed, scrolling through her phone with a manicured finger. "You're seriously asking us for money?" she said, not even looking up. I blinked slowly, still groggy from anesthesia. "Just a little help. The insurance didn't cover everything. I've got deductibles post-top medication." She cut me off with a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. "Lyra, we've got our own bills. Inflation's crazy and the twins need new phones. Like yesterday. The cold hit me before the words did, not from the hospital air conditioning, but from the realization that after all the years of sacrifice of silence, I had become disposable. You and Talon lived in my condo for 5 years, I reminded her, trying to stay calm. "Rentrée, I just thought." She finally looked up, her lips curled into a smirk. "Oh, so now we're bringing up the condo again. You act like we trashed the place, we took care of it. That counts. No apology, no acknowledgement, just a rewrite of reality. One where my generosity was rebranded as their labour. I tried to sit up, but the pain shot through my abdomen like fire." Mara sighed. "You should have planned better. Honestly, you're always the organised one, right? You'll figure it out." She snapped a selfie before leaving. "Anyway, contractors coming by the house. We're remodelling the kitchen. It's outdated. Outdated." That was the word she used to describe the vintage cabinetry I had restored with my own hands, the same ones now shaking from pain. My stomach churned, not from the surgery, but from something deeper. Betrayal, fury. Hours later, Ree walked in carrying a thermos of miso broth and a folder under her arm. She took one look at me and said, "Mara came by." "Beefly," I murmured. Reese didn't smile. "I've been thinking, you ever check your property records lately?" I frowned. "No, why would I? I've owned that condo for 10 years. Ray's pulled out her tablet, fingers flying over the screen. "Because something's off." "When's the last time you saw your deed?" My heart started to pound. "It's in the filing cabinet in the home office," I said slowly, the one Mara turned into her media room. Ree turned the screen toward me. My name had vanished from the official record. A transfer had been filed 3 months ago, right around the time I first started getting sick. I never signed anything. I whispered. "You sure?" Ree asked gently. "Think hard." Images flickered in my mind. Mara smiling sweetly, handing me a stack of papers while saying, "Just sign here real quick, HOA stuff." "She played me," I said. Rahi nodded. "We're going to call Damien from fraud, but quietly, if this is what I think it is, we'll need to move carefully." For the first time in weeks, I felt something stronger than despair, strategy. Maybe it was the morphine. Maybe the mask had finally cracked. But I knew one thing. I was done playing the easy one. Over the next few days while I recovered, Ree and Damien built the case like architects. They uncovered forged signatures. My name signed in awkward slants, with inconsistent spacing stamps from a notary whose license had been revoked. "Sloppy work," Damon said. "They didn't think you'd ever look." Of course not. I was supposed to be the pushover. The nice sister, the woman too polite to fight. What they forgot is, I build systems for a living, and when systems break, I fix them. "What's next?" I asked. Reese's eyes sparkled with something sharper than compassion. "We document everything. Every change they made, every signature they faked, every passive-aggressive voicemail. When you're strong enough, we hit." I glanced at the tray of medical bills and nodded. "Let them think they've won." Reese smiled the way a lioness might when the prey gets too comfortable. I was discharged a week later. No call from Talon. No offer to pick me up. Just silence. But that was fine, because silence, I'd learned, can be a weapon too. Ree drove me back to what used to be my home. I sat in the passenger seat, fingers clenched around the strap of my bag. As we turned onto my street, my breath caught. the craftsman-style condo that he had restored. Board by board now looked like a construction site. Wood planks, insulation rolls, and tile samples littered the driveway. The front door was wide open, and through it, I saw men gutting the kitchen. My kitchen, the same kitchen I'd spent 2 summers rebuilding. Mara was out front, barking orders into a headset wearing athleisure like she was hosting a network home makeover show. "Oh, you're back," she said breezily when she spotted me. "Perfect timing. We're opening up the space." This old layout was a nightmare. I leaned into Reese's arm to steady myself, not just from fatigue, but to keep from lunging. "Mara, this is my home," I said carefully. "You can't renovate without permission. You don't even pay rent." She didn't flinch. "Actually, it's our home now. Remember, you signed it over. You were so generous." She smiled. "Saccharine sweet. Must be the meds clouding your memory." Talon appeared in the doorway. He said nothing like always. "And since this is our house," she continued, "we think it's best if you recover elsewhere. All this noise isn't good for healing. Reese has space, doesn't she?" I saw Ree tense beside me. I nodded. "Of course. Just let me grab some things." "Oh, we moved your stuff to the garage," Mara chirped. "Didn't want the dust ruining your clothes." I clenched my jaw. "So thoughtful," I said flatly. A worker brought out 2 boxes and my medication bag. No one even asked if I needed help carrying them. Reese and I drove away in silence, but I didn't cry. Not out of grief. Out of something colder. Clarity that night. Back in Reese's guest room, I opened my laptop and logged into the feed from the hidden cameras I had installed 3 months earlier. Back when the twins started using my office, and I felt that odd itch in my gut. Everyone thought I was paranoid. Turns out I wasn't paranoid enough. There she was, Mara, walking through my home like she owned it, pointing to walls, directing furniture placement. "We'll need all new appliances," she said to a decorator. "Maybe knock down this one too." Lyra's taste was so dated, she rolled her eyes. At my name, I closed the laptop slowly. My hands didn't shake. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched everything. Every shipment voice-controlled appliances, imported tile, Italian marble countertops. Every dollar spent came from a fraudulent home equity loan. In my name, without my knowledge. Damien came over one evening, spreadsheets in hand. They've burned through over 150 grand. He said, loan documents are a mess. Half the signatures inconsistent, some forms completely blank. They were sloppy. Ree spread out more files across her dining table. Our unofficial war room, their contractor isn't even licensed for structural work, and they never pulled permits for knocking down that wall. I sipped my coffee and studied the receipts. Do we have enough? I asked. Damon nodded. We could file tomorrow. But Reese tilted her head. Not yet. Let them keep digging every unauthorized renovation, every fraudulent charge they're building your case for you. Just then, my phone buzzed. A message from Mara. The new kitchen is amazing. My followers are obsessed. When are you grabbing the rest of your junk from the garage? Kids need space for their gaming corner. I turned the phone to Ree. They're about to dump my things? Reese's jaw tightened. I'll send my brother Tom tomorrow with a truck. We'll pretend he's junk removal. The next day, I watched through the cameras as Mara waved him toward the garage like he was nothing. Take whatever she said. It's all trash, but it wasn't. It was my life. My grandfather's drafting table, my mother's quilt, my childhood photo albums. Tom loaded everything with care, texting me once it was done, everything's safe. She didn't even notice. That night, Reese handed me a glass of wine. The contractor says, renovations wrap next week. Mara's planning a big reveal party for her influencer friends. I scrolled through her socials. Videos of my living room, my front porch, my dining nook, all labelled as hers. From drab to fab, modern nesting. Dream home transformation. She's using my stolen home to build her brand, I murmured. Let her, Reese said. I glanced up. Let her reach the peak of delusion, she continued. It'll make the fall so much sweeter. I nodded slowly because I wasn't done. Not even close. The invitations went out a week later, or rather Mara's Instagram posts did. A curated stream of champagne flutes, floral centerpieces, and captions like, "Final touches before our big reveal. Can't wait to show you all the transformation we've been pouring our hearts into. #dream home. Glow up." She had no idea that behind every wall, beneath every marble slab, was the legal equivalent of a ticking time bomb. From Reese's guest bedroom, I watched the prep unfold, in real time, via the hidden cameras she and Darman helped me install. Months ago, caterers arrived. Valet signs popped up out front. A welcome board reading property of the Quinn family stood in what used to be my rose garden. Darman sat beside me, flipping through legal documents. Everything's in place. We file the moment you give the word. Reese glanced over. Are you sure you want it public? I watched Mara twirling around in white jumpsuit, holding a champagne flute, live streaming her own destruction. I want everyone to see what she built on lies. I said let her reach the peak. And so we waited. The day of the party arrived with perfect weather. Blue skies, golden sun, ideal for selfies, ideal for consequences. We parked a few houses down. Darman sat with folders full of evidence. Rahi drank her coffee like it was any other. Saturday, I held my phone like a trigger. Mara beamed on camera giving tours. This space was such a disaster before, but now total transformation. Then she raised her glass. Cheers to fresh starts, I typed one word into our group chat. Now 4 squad cars arrived. Officers moved in from both ends of the street. Confused party guests looked around. Someone dropped a glass. The lead officer entered Mara Quinn. Yes, she replied, stunned. You're under investigation for fraudulent property, transfer identity theft and unauthorized loans. This is our house, she insisted. We have paperwork. Darman stepped forward. Fraudulent, paperwork forged signatures. Notary's license was revoked last year. Phones were up, guests recording whispers spread. Then, Rhea and I stepped through the front door. Mara froze. LRA, nice turnout. I said, quite the reveal. She stammered, what are you doing here? Taking back what's mine. I said, this is my house, always has been. Talon moved toward me. We can explain. You already did to the cameras. Every time you joked about scamming me while I was sick, it's all recorded. A guest near the buffet asked, are they being arrested? Absolutely. Darman said forgery, illegal loans, unlicensed construction. It's all serious. Officers cuffed Talon and Mara. She cried out, wait, what about the renovations? Our stuff. You mean my stuff? I replied, in my house. Guests began to slip out. Quiet filming. Someone dropped a plate. Mara's last live stream became a digital crime scene. As squad cars drove away, the Ishtaquincon had already taken off. Rhee stood beside me in the silence. You okay? She asked. I looked around at the house, at what was left of the lies, at what I had rebuilt inside myself. I am, I said, finally. 6 months later, the house looked nothing like it did during Mara's party. The cheap gold accents were gone, replaced by clean lines and subtle tones. The antique beams were back in place, and I'd restored the cabinets again, this time with care. And on my own terms, the court ordered Mara and Talon to repay every dollar they spent with the stolen equity loan. They took a plea deal to avoid prison time, but the damage to their reputation was irreversible. Mara's influencer career dead on arrival. Every time she tried to post, someone dropped a comment. Is this your house or someone else's again? The biggest surprise came weeks later. A letter in my mailbox, handwritten. It was from their eldest child, now in college. I'm sorry for what they did. I didn't understand back then, but I see it now. You taught me what it means to have integrity. I hope you're okay. I didn't cry. But I felt something shift, like a tight wire inside me had finally loosened. One quiet morning, Ree dropped by with coffee. We sat in the breakfast nook my nook, and she raised her cup. This place looks better than ever. It feels better, I said. It's mine again, not just on paper, but in spirit. Darman joined us later that afternoon with a grin. Last fraudulent loan cleared your credit, not just restored. It's better than before. Thank you. I told them for everything. Ree chuckled. You're the one who installed the cameras, who documented everything, who waited and moved smart. You didn't lose your temper. You waited until the truth could burn hotter than any rage. She was right. I had learned to move cold quiet and calculated to play the long game. I used to think kindness made me weak, that love meant saying yes, even when it hurt, that family meant enduring whatever they threw your way. But I don't believe that anymore. Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shows up when everything falls apart. It's who tells the truth. It's who respects your boundaries, not just your generosity. Real family doesn't exploit your silence. They honor your voice. So if you've ever been betrayed by those you loved, most hear me when I say this. You don't need to scream to be strong. You don't need revenge to reclaim your power. You just need to know your worth and move like it matters. I raised my mug again. Not to justice, not to revenge, but to peace. Earned quiet, unshakable. The kind that comes when you stop begging for respect and start expecting.